but you took over the writing from someone else who was writing the biography. They didn't finish it. But why did you step in? And also, were you even a particular fan of Bowden?
I was a bit. I certainly found some of his speeches very inspiring and interesting. But there seem to be people that aren't just fans of his, but who literally worship him, and who were expecting me to produce a hagiography, and who were very upset that I've been mainly attacked from the right for writing this book. Very upset that I have interfered with the mystery, that I have apparently smeared him simply by reporting what friends of his said. That I have failed to keep faith. Somebody has actually used those terms. Ironically, I did talk in the book about the Bowden of history and the Bowden of faith, not unlike Jesus. And it is extraordinary. You do have these people that see him as some sort of based messiah, essentially, who a symbol of the fight of the dying of the twilight of the English, and write about it in purely poetic terms, and take the view that it is wrong to write a genuine biography of him rather than a hagiography, and what I have done is makes me an evil, treacherous snake in terms of their movement. But what happened with regard to writing it was that I discovered him in about 2015 when some people were discussing him at a conference I was at. So I went into YouTube and I thought, oh, this is a bit interesting. And so then I Googled him and discovered he'd already died, which surprised me. He was only 49 when he died in 2012. And then from there, I was casually interested. And on one day on my channel, on my live stream, someone said that, oh, you should do a biography of Bowden, because I'd done a number of biographies of J. Philip Rushton, for example, who was a based psychologist. And so I thought, oh, all right, then, yeah, so I'll look into that. So I asked around about it. I was put in touch with the person who was the executor of his estate and his sole beneficiary. And he said somebody else is writing it called Alex Kurtajic. And he's been writing it since 2012, and by then 2019. So he's obviously slow. And because I produced this in a few months, and then he insisted he was still writing it. And then someone asked me again in 2021, because I was thinking 10th anniversary of his death and all that, 2022. He was still writing it, and then eventually we got in touch with him, and he just wouldn't write back. And at that point, his executors just said, "Well, screw it, you write it, you go for it. I'll give you everything I can." So that's. And then the other thing that happened was that she's outed herself. So what happened was that I was at an unheard meeting, which was addressed by Menkes Moldbug, by Coach Yarvin. And I got talking to this girl. I didn't know who she was, but she knew who I was, called Nina Power. And then she just stopped talking at one point, and then just looked at me with this look of sort of joy mixed with naughtiness, mixed with pride.
That's how most people look at you, to be fair, Ed.
Particularly women.
Yeah.
And she extracted from her bag Extremists, Studies in Metapolitics, which was a book of Jonathan Bowden's speeches, and there was Bowden on the front with a revolver in each hand and all this. And I thought, wow, if someone like that, because she's published in quite mainstream places, and Unheard is a basically purple pilled sort of respectable far right kind of webzine, then he must be a lot more influential than I thought. So maybe I should write this, because I've been becoming increasingly interested in him in his speeches anyway. And so I just thought, right, bugger it, I'll write it. And so immediately when that was September last year, and then immediately upon getting back to Finland, I started writing it, and then I finished it by Christmas.
So you finished it in a few months.
Mm.
That's extraordinary. That's one of those Ed turbocharged kind of. Is that how you do it? Just in a frenzy? I imagine you're writing books in a kind of frenzy of Duttonness.
Yeah, with this finger here.
Right.
And this one, if I have to do a capital letter, like for the shift,
Right.
and then I just bang them out. And so, I mean, I wrote my undergraduate dissertation in one night.
Right.
You just get on with it. Just get on with it. So I found these people. I wanted to find basically everyone I could that was alive that knew him. I through people, I managed to track most of them down. Some people refused to be interviewed, rather pusillanimously, in my view. I found out that his stepmother, because he had no siblings, but he had step siblings, they wouldn't write back. So his stepmother wouldn't write back. So in the end, I just sent someone and his girlfriend to her front door, to ask for an interview, and it turned out she was senile. That was the problem with this Kurtajic guy causing a delay. Because of him, who was supposedly Bowden's friend, people died or went senile. that could otherwise have been interviewed. So it was extremely annoying for me that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then whatever, and I spoke to all these different people. Some of them knew him well, some of them didn't know him very well. Just had a few anecdotes. I think I interviewed in the end about 60 people, and most of them via Zoom or Skype or whatever. And yeah, and then just sort of put it together. Oh, and use old newspapers and things like that as well. And then obviously, as you know, I'm the thing that was most interesting to me was the psychology of this guy, because he he's a kind of charismatic. He fits the mold. Another thing that idiots have criticised before is apparently psychoanalyzing him and speculating about his psychology. But I didn't speculate about his psychology. That's bollocks. I carefully argued based on the available evidence what it seemed that he might be. And not only that, but I showed my writings to various psychiatrists and got them to go through it and say what they thought. How credible is this? I argued the case rather than speculated. And he seems to have this optimum combination, basically, of extremely high intelligence and sort of psychopathic and autistic traits, which is what you find among geniuses of various kinds. You find this optimum relationship. And so narcissism, being narcissistic to an optimum degree, is associated with creativity and is associated with genius. And I think that he had that sort of optimum degree. I think, yeah, you can think, oh well, he was very good at public speaking, ergo he was socially skilled. Hang on a minute, no. Was he very good at public speaking when he was young? No, he was good at public speaking when he was old. And so it's obvious from descriptions on when he was a child that he was absolute spurg. But you accrue the confidence, and you can exude this confidence, and you learn a bit of social skill, and it makes up for your autistic deficiencies. So I was interested in that. I was interested in what is it, the first thing, almost to justify the book, because what is he? If you think about it, his paintings aren't very good. His novels aren't very good. His even his writing, his non-fiction writing, for the most part, is all right, sort of very derivative of Nietzsche or Stirner or someone like that. So, what is his actual thing? And his actual thing is that he is a brilliant orator. He's a superb orator who's able to make these incredible connections between all kinds of different components, and bring them together into an overarching thesis and present it in an exciting and inspiring way. Sort of reveal a secret-based nationalist tradition within English life and inspire people into thinking that the clown world can be triumphed over and all this in the end. That's his thing. And what that really is, what we can say he is really is an influencer. He is an influencer on the new up and coming Gen Z based right wing who are gathering speed and gathering strength. That's what he is. He's an influencer. So I wanted to
Hmm.
get that clear. And then I thought to myself, well, why is it that he's had this power? And yeah, he's got these different components of charisma for sure, the narcissism, and which fits into the ability to hold a room and radiate confidence and make a cold world seem warm again. And that goes together with lying. People that are narcissistic will tend to lie. And he was a pathological liar. I mean, he created this whole family life that he had 6 kids and he had a wife covered in tattoos and called Karen, and all this stuff, all this just nonsense. And he sustained this lie. And people that I interviewed sent presents for his children at Christmas, and there were no children to receive them. Lived in a grotty caravan and was secretive about it, all this stuff. But a big part of it, I think, is that he died. He died suddenly, and he died young, not unlike Jesus. And there were studies indicating that there's a sense in which if you do that, the fact of that renders you mysterious and mystical and more likely to have the community and its embodiment projected onto you. So that was very interested me. And then after I done all that, then I just looked into what his life was like.